as Advaita Acharya Gone. So this is actually a song by Narottam Das Thakur, and it's a song for expressing separation from one's spiritual master or one's guru or some devotee one is close to. This is a song devotees sing on Disappearance Day, so that's why we sang this song. You want to read the second one?
Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatana? Where is Raghunadas, the savior of the fallen?
Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen?
Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishnadas Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go?
I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities?
So the last one is being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes. Narottam Das simply weeps. So we know how many songs we sing in our temples that are written by Narottam Das Thakur. This is another classic work of his, and it expresses one's feelings of separation very deeply. Srila Prabhupada, he said, Kirtan Rasa is the safest rasa to be in. And especially he said, by learning these songs written by great devotees, great acharyas, one can understand the complete philosophy of Vaishnavism, complete philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So it is very important we learn these songs and also we learn to sing them properly. It's inspiring for people. We know people in general, they love to hear kirtan. Not everyone is so interested in hearing philosophy. So it's a very nice way of even attracting people to Krishna consciousness. But today is very special day. I'm not sure till what time we can go. It's only 10 minutes for the scheduled time of class finishing. But I know it's a fasting day, so maybe we can go a few minutes extra. And we'll just try to share a few very important things that we can learn from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. Couple of things that I heard from one lecture I was listening by my spiritual master. And this was a lecture on Disappearance Day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So a couple of points I took from that talk is one of the most important things Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did is organized giving of Krishna consciousness, of bhakti to people on larger scale. And that's where our Srila Prabhupada, that's where he gets this organized system of distributing Krishna consciousness to people in larger numbers. Because we know before that, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, father of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was a family man, he was working, and he had 10 children. So it's a lot of work. I'm sure those who have families, they can understand how much work it could be. And he was not only just doing some regular job, he was a magistrate in British rule, which is a very big position. He was also, so whoever is magistrate in that area at that time, they would also be superintendent of the temple of Jagannath temple in Jagannath Puri. So that was another responsibility he had. We can ask Savas Prabhu how easy it is to run this temple here. We can understand how much easier it was for Bhaktivinoda Thakur to manage such a big temple where is unlimited number of people visiting every day. So even amongst so many responsibilities, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he translated so many books, and he was, even in his time, he sent like writings to countries outside India. We know there was one of the books in McGill University in Canada, in the library. And but because of so many engagements, he could not actively give Krishna consciousness to people at large. So he prayed for a son who could assist him in this work. There is a book written, it's titled A Ray of Vishnu. One of the devotees, he has written a book about life of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Great book to read if you haven't heard of this book. And he gives a very detailed, beautiful description of life of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But just a few things is that it was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur who started this organized system of giving Krishna consciousness, giving bhakti to people in larger and larger numbers. In his time, he established 64 Gaudiya Mathas. And one of the conversations I can recall is Srila Prabhupada, when he met him, maybe we can start with his first meeting with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. One of his friend, he actually dragged Srila Prabhupada that there is this great guru, he is visiting Kolkata, and we should go and meet with him, we should go and hear from him. So I was listening to a lecture Srila Prabhupada gave here at the temple in Los Angeles in 1973, and Srila Prabhupada, he is saying he was actually reluctant to go. He was not interested to go. He was like, from my previous experience, I didn't see a real sadhu who I could follow. So he was very reluctant to go to this meeting. But then he said his friend actually dragged him. He said, you just come to this one meeting. I will never ask you again. Just come to this one meeting and tell me what you think of this sadhu. So Srila Prabhupada, we know the whole story. Srila Prabhupada went, and the first instruction he got was that you are an educated man. You should translate these books in English and distribute Krishna consciousness to the people in the West in larger and larger numbers. So here is the main point I want to mention. Srila Prabhupada, he says the only reason for whatever success he achieved was that he took the instruction of his spiritual master to his heart. That was his life and soul. He dedicated his whole life just to carry out that instruction. In this talk, he is saying that he met him in 1922. That was the first time he met. And he didn't really take formal initiation till 1933. That's 11 years. I don't know how many of you waited 11 years to get initiation, those who are. But one thing he said, all this time, he was thinking about him. He was thinking about the instruction he gave him. He actually said that at that time, India was under British rule. So people were, protesting to get freedom. And Srila Prabhupada said that he was actually into that. He wanted India to be free. And that was his argument to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that India is like under British rule. So who is going to listen to our message? They will say, you can't even get freedom. You are talking about big things. Who's going to listen to this? So of course, he said that he had a little conversation with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and he accepted defeat. He understood that the greatest emergency is giving Krishna consciousness to people in larger and larger numbers. People are in ignorance of the self, and that's what people need to know. People don't need to know if they are being ruled by British rule or they are being ruled by whoever. They need to know Krishna consciousness. They need to know about self-realization. They need to know about bhakti yoga. Because original dharma is Sanatan dharma. The original constitutional position is to serve. No matter who is the boss, our original nature is to offer service. So if we know Krishna, if we offer service to Krishna, we can become Krishna conscious, we can become self-realized, and we can become free from ignorance. And only that can make one satisfied and happy. In preface to Nectar of Devotion, Srila Prabhupada writes, people are looking for so many different ways to become happy and satisfied, but they don't know one switch. That one switch is Krishna. When one comes to Krishna, only then they can be satisfied. If one doesn't do that, no matter what you do, you cannot attain satisfaction. You cannot understand Atma Tattva. So this was one point that Srila Prabhupada emphasized again and again in I think it's Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad. It says, Yasya Deve Tatha Guru, Yasya Deve Tatha Guru, Yasya Bhakti. Yes. So this verse, it establishes this point that one who has strong faith or trust in one's Guru and Krishna, that person, he can get bhakti. If our faith in the Guru is weak, if our trust in the Guru is weak, no matter how much service you do, you cannot attain bhakti. You can do so many things, being influenced by passion, ignorance, or even goodness. You cannot attain bhakti. The only secret Srila Prabhupada shared is that he took this instruction by his Guru, and that was the only reason he left India. He was happily in Vrindavan practicing bhajan. He could just do that and be happy. He had great association, but he took so much pain to leave that place where devotees want to go and live. He was already living there. He left that place and he took all this trouble to come and give. So we should learn this, especially on this day, we should meditate on this, how we can give to others. It's easy to take, but how we can give, that's how we should, Srila Prabhupada said, tax our brains. We should tax our brains how we can give Krishna consciousness to others. And when we do that, it will become very easy to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness, to be absorbed in chanting Harinam, and to be absorbed in performing our services. Otherwise, there are so many ways to get distracted. It's very easy. Second point, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur established is pure devotional service. There are so many kinds of devotees, so many organizations, they are also promoting bhakti. But we read in the Pranam mantra, Apasiddhanta, Dhvanta Harini. That's what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did. He was destroying all the Apasiddhantas, all the false conclusions. So one point is, it's good one takes to chanting of Hare Krishna, but that's not enough. That's just a good start. One has to go further. One has to become learned. One has to become wise. One has to know the Shastras. One has to know all these conclusions. Because if we don't, again we will get dragged by illusion. Again we will go back to ignorance. And we will lose this greatest opportunity of becoming self-realized, or becoming Krishna conscious. So that's why he established all these devotional practices Like one of the reasons, because he introduced this idea of that anyone who is engaged in Brahmanical activities can become a Brahmana. So all the caste Brahmanas, they were getting against him. They were plotting against him actually, even to the extent of killing him. I heard this one conversation where there were some of the other groups, they actually approached the police and they wanted to bribe the police. The police officer said, generally we do these things, but in this case, he's a great sadhu. We fear reaction. We cannot be part of this. So the police officer refused these people who were plotting against Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We can imagine the situation. You are preaching and someone is plotting against you to, send you to the other world. Those are the conditions Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was preaching in, giving Krishna consciousness, distributing Krishna consciousness. We do not have such severe circumstances. We have very, very good situation here, especially in America. It's very nice. Most places we can go and we can do our activities and many people actually appreciate it. I just got a text from one student I met when I was traveling in San Francisco. I just received that text yesterday, yet yesterday it wasn't like a huge day. And I was like, man, we are putting so much effort and people are not so interested. And then I see this text from this boy from one of the schools I went to, and I saw the text. The last communication we had was in 2022. And yesterday he sends me a text. What he is saying is that he is so grateful to receive Srila Prabhupada's books. He started going to a program some devotees are doing in that area in Santa Rosa. And he's been studying the books. He's going to program regularly. And not only that, he has signed up for a course with the devotees at Bhaktivedanta Manor. And he has signed up for a trip to go to India. So he was like, I just wanted to inform you that you gave me those books that day and I've been reading them and I've learned so much. And now I'm going for a course and I'm going to visit India with the devotees. So I forgot about him. But here he sends me a message. He's like, hey, where are you? I've been working on these books you gave me. So it may seem like, oh, what's the point of distributing these books? We are distributing so many books, but no one is taking them seriously. But here, I just received one text yesterday, and it's not the only one. We have got many people sending them. But of course, not like a huge number of them. There are very few. Still, we can see that one person becomes a devotee, it makes such a big difference. Srila Prabhupada, just one person, he came and he inspired so many people. So Lord Chaitanya said this, especially for those who are born in India, they should take this very seriously. Bharat bhumi te haila manushya janmayar, janam sarthak kar para upkar. We should think of doing welfare activities for others. The best welfare activity is giving Krishna consciousness to others, giving knowledge of bhakti yoga to others, because that's the switch everyone is looking for. George Harrison, the famous Beatle, he said this, all you need is love. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. So there are so many examples we can talk about, but these are the two things we should learn from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Organized system of distributing Krishna consciousness. And we have to be very organized. We can see he was so pakka. He was so expert, everything. First time he went to Vrindavan, he went in a car. He had a hat, he had a coat. He looked like a British ruler, in the dress, if you have seen the picture. And the person who received him, he was asking him, where is the Swami who was going to come? Where is the Guru? Because he thought this guy is the driver, the way he was dressed. So we have to be, devotees are not sentimental. They are very wise. You have to see Deshikala Patra. You have to see the situation. Like Srila Prabhupada, he gave one example. When he came to the West, he saw like boys and girls mix so freely. So he cannot tell them to like completely stop talking to each other. But he said, you can do service together and be happy serving Krishna together. And we see there are so many great examples. Even in our old community, we can see so many families, so many Prabhupada disciples. They've been married for like over 50 years, 40 years for sure. And they are serving Prabhupada so nicely. So one should understand these principles. If we don't understand them, then we will be promoting Apasiddhantas. That's not what Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur was doing. So we should understand the principle and understand its application. We should not just blindly start promoting some ideas. These were a couple of points, and then just one more last point I want to share, and then after that, if someone wants to share some realizations, we have many Prabhupada disciples here. I'm sure you have lots to say. One lecture that I heard by my spiritual master when I was in Australia, he was sharing one experience of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was outside at night, pretty late, like 1 or 2 o'clock, and so some of his disciples saw him. What is Maharaj doing outside? So some of them, they came out and asked him, sorry, you are out so late. We usually don't see you outside so late. Is there anything we can assist you with? They asked in a nice Vaishnava way. I don't know the exact words. But they asked him, and guess what was his response? Does anyone know? Brigupati Prabhu knows. Okay, let's hear from him if he knows.
Moon that they weren't doing very good, and he was planning on going to preach on the moon.
Yes. So the actual detail of that is, thank you, Prabhu. He said there was a Sankirtan party that came from the moon. He was talking to them. That's Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So it's not very far out idea. We can see even example of Srila Prabhupada when he was giving a class at ISKCON, London. And then after the class, he asked his disciples, did you see Narada Muni was here? And they were like, what? Narada Muni was here? We didn't see him. And then he said, this is given in Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, you can read. He said, we should have a seat for Narada Muni here. That's one reason I want to visit ISKCON, London. I want to go and see that seat. So they have that seat still there for Narada Muni, the Vyasa son for Narada Muni, so he can come and sit. So I was, in previous discussion, we were talking about perception, what one can see. And we were talking about how Krishna controls what you can see. And so Prabhupada could see Narada Muni was there, but other devotees could not. So same way, these disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they were not thinking, oh no, it cannot be Maharaj is just like saying to us, just to encourage us or inspire us. No. They had faith in him. They knew the kind of person he is. The astrologer, when they did an astrology for him, many people like astrology. So they go to astrologers, they ask, like how my future is going to be, what I can do and all these things. Which is nice, it's Vedic. It's okay to do it. But when the astrologer, he saw Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, I have never seen a person like this before in my life career. He said he has all the 32 signs of a great personality. That was the astrologer. So his future was already predicted, what he gonna be. And like we can remember, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was praying for ray of Vishnu. And in the mantra, pranam mantra, we can see what the pranam mantra means. We can meditate on this pranam mantra on this day. His name is Bimala Prasad. Bimala Devi. The Jagannath Prasad doesn't go to anyone without going through Bimala Devi. She is the distributor of Jagannath Prasad, actual distributor. After offering to Lord Jagannath, the Maha goes to Bimala Devi, and then it's distributed to everyone else. So he got this name, Bimala Prasad. The Bimala is actually internal energy of Lord Jagannath, of Lord Krishna. So he is that internal energy, and that's why he was able to preach so strongly. One point I heard from Srila Prabhupada in this lecture, he was saying one reason why he left so early was that he felt burdened by a large number of neophyte disciples. So we should take this very seriously. We shouldn't remain like a neophyte. We should become learned in the Shastra. We should understand the principles. We should know its application. And we should become advanced devotees. That's how we can actually please Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur. That's how we can please Srila Prabhupada. So Lord Chaitanya, he gave chanting Hare Krishna for everyone. Everyone is welcome to chant Hare Krishna. That's a great thing to do. But then to his close associates, he teach them how to write Bhakti Shastras, how to educate people in Bhakti Shastras. So Srila Prabhupada, he wants that also from his followers. We should become educated in Bhakti Shastras. We should know how to educate others. But to do that, we have to become educated first. The physician has to heal themselves first. So these were some of the points that I felt I took from hearing from all these great Vaishnavas, and some realizations. But we can have a short, small discussion. Maybe some of the Prabhupada disciples, they want to share something they heard from Srila Prabhupada. Because I saw there were 4 lectures Srila Prabhupada gave just on the disappearance day at this temple in Los Angeles. 1968, 1973, and a couple more years. I don't remember the other 2 years, but they are on ISKCON Desire Tree. You can go and listen to them. So anyone else want to share something, or it's 8:45, but it's still half day fast.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj is known to be very austere and very, like a lion guru. And one pastime Prabhupada speaks about him is that when he was a very young boy, he accidentally ate mango before it was offered to the deities. And from that point on, when his Bhaktivinoda Thakur chastised him on that, he never again touched mango, never ate it for the rest of his life. So I think that that's just, of course, that's a very little thing, but it just kind of showed his determination in executing his Krishna consciousness by being very austere. At one particular point, I can't remember how many rounds he was chanting a day.
192 rounds.
How many?
192 rounds,
yes.
300,000 names every day.
Yes, and then he would sit there and he'd chant these rounds under the hot sun in India. And he would sit there until he finished his japa, and he would do that every day. He did that for several years.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. So you can just get the feeling of his character, his intense desire to pursue Krishna consciousness and to really preach Krishna consciousness. He was so, as you mentioned, he came in a Cadillac or Rolls Royce, I think it was. I can't remember. In those days, a Rolls Royce was just amazing. Only a big Raj had these kind of vehicles. But he would come and preach, come and have a nice coat, wear a turban, and he make himself look like an ordinary person, but in reality, he was just trying to preach in a particular way to attract a certain type of individual and people.
Yes.
And he did, and they became very supportive of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And he was so powerful that at a particular point, they wanted to kill him by his preaching activity. They actually wanted to kill him. They paid off police?
Yes.
Yeah, they're trying to bribe the police, you mentioned, yes. They tried to kill Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj from his preaching activity. So anyway, there's just a few little things.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah, there is one point that when the preaching is strong, Maya will strike back. So they were trying to kill Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But of course, they say one who is protected by Krishna, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Tatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shriya Vijaya Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir, Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the greatest of all the mystics, wherever there is Arjuna, the greatest archer, there is everything. There is Shreya, there is Vijaya, there is Bhuti, there is Niti, everything is available there. So how can someone touch a personality like that? Yes, Veerabahu, Prabhu, Maharaj.
Thank you. This year, in November, past November, it was the 50th anniversary of the completion of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Prabhupada.
Haribol.
On Ekadasi. And at that time, Srila Prabhupada wrote the concluding words of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it's a beautiful offering to his spiritual master, that epilogue, those final words. And I advise everybody to read it today. It's very long, I'll just read an excerpt, and which indicates such intimate connection with between Srila Prabhupada and his spiritual master. I think that His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is always seeing my activities and guiding me within my heart by his words. As it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tine Brahma Hrida Ya Adi Kavaye, spiritual inspiration comes from within the heart, wherein the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his Paramatma feature, is always sitting with all his devotees and associates. It is to be admitted that whatever translation work I have done is through the inspiration of my spiritual master, because personally I am most insignificant and incompetent to do this materially impossible work. I do not think myself a very learned scholar, but I have full faith in the service of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. If there is any credit to my activities of translating, it is all due to His Divine Grace. Certainly, if His Divine Grace were physically present at this time, it would have been a great occasion for jubilation. But even though He is not physically present, I am confident that He is very much pleased by this work of translation. He was very fond of seeing many books published to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. Therefore, our society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, has been formed to execute the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Thank you, Veerabahu, Maharaj. Anyone else? Nekatma Prabhu is meditating.
Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj used to have a lot of quotes, and one quote I remember he said that it is better to remain in insect body, worm body, bird or beast than to be deceitful. Yes. Then he said that if one is not deceitful, then that's all auspiciousness. So he was very adamant about being truthful, honest, and straightforward in the practice of Krishna consciousness. So better to be a worm than to be deceitful. Otherwise, if one is not deceitful, then he receives all auspiciousness.
Very important point. Thank you. Brigupati Prabhu has something.
Yeah, I'm remembering one anecdote that Prabhupada mentioned in one of those lectures he gave on either the Disappearance Day or the Appearance Day. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was in a room with a bunch of his disciples. Prabhupada was there. And one of them was this friend of Prabhupada, O.B.L. Kapoor, who later became Adikesha, was his initiated name. So he was there with his wife, I guess it was his wife. So she asked to, and so he, by this time he was already, 62 or something like that, and they were just young. So she asked if she could speak with him, and he said, yeah. She said, no, I mean privately. And he said, no, that's not possible, these are all my men, you can speak freely. So Prabhupada, commented upon that. He said, just see that here he was, so much older and like a grandfather and so much affection, but he was so strict that he wouldn't speak with her privately. He wasn't prepared to do that. And Prabhupada mentioned, I think he used the word akandita brahmachari, lifelong brahmachari. You might have mentioned that earlier in the class. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, he was establishing, like we were talking before, pure devotional service. There is no mixed devotional service. So that's very important thing Prabhu, he was teaching, because many people are teaching, but not everyone is teaching pure devotional service. So we can be a mixed devotee and we can keep practicing bhakti for a long time. But if we become a pure devotee, we practice for a short time and we can attain Krishna prema. One important point that comes to my mind is that in his time, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, he had 4 printing presses. And he personally told Srila Prabhupada, there was a conversation when they were in Vrindavan, and Srila Prabhupada recounts this. He said, he told me personally that if you ever get some money, print books. He said that we have this big marble temple, Bagh Bazaar, and devotees, his disciples, they are fighting with each other, who will get which room. And he was saying, it's hurting my heart. I would rather sell this temple and print books with that money. So we should understand the importance of these shastras. Another thing that comes to my mind is these days there are so many devotees writing books. And what happens? Often many devotees also encourage other devotees to read these books by all these devotees' writings, which is great. But we should emphasize what's the basic, the main core books we have to study first. That's the books translated by Srila Prabhupada. Some of his disciples approached him and they asked him, Srila Prabhupada, can we read writings of your guru? You know what was his response to them? He said, his books are written for me. Only I can understand his writings, no one else. So you should read my books. I have written those for you. So we should understand this point very clearly. First, we read Prabhupada books. Then you can read whatever other books you want to read, no problem. But we should understand he is our Acharya. We have to read his works first. When we get them, then you can read whatever other books you want to read. Also, we can see why Srila Prabhupada was emphasizing so much on books. Because we can engage in so many other activities. But you see, without having these books, even our own devotees, they cannot be strong. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, Siddhanta baliya chite nakar alas. We should not be lazy in understanding the Siddhanta. Because if we are lazy, then our mind, it cannot be absorbed on Krishna. It will get distracted very easily. But when you are learned, you see Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur, other people, they would fear walking to him, because if they get in argument with him, he knows like they cannot win against him. He was so learned. He knew all kinds of philosophies. No one could defeat him. So other people actually fear facing him. They would, when they see him, they would walk the other way. So we should also take inspiration from him, and of course we may not have a great taste for reading and understanding philosophy, but we should put a little effort. We can remember this example of the illiterate Brahmana, Lord Chaitanya. When he saw this illiterate Brahmana, he was so pleased with him. He asked him, why are you reading this book? And this Brahmana, he showed the picture, the cover of Bhagavad Gita, where there is Krishna riding the chariot of Arjuna. And he's saying, my guru told me to read the whole Bhagavad Gita every day. And these people are laughing at me because he's illiterate, he don't know how to read. And he's saying, but I still read it because my guru told me. But then you can see, just by doing that, following that instruction, he got the realization. What's the realization? He is saying, when I see this picture where Krishna, he is driving the chariot of his devotee, so much love and affection. In India or in Vedic culture, if you know, a driver is considered a very low-class person. It's not considered very exalted service one is doing. So, Supreme Personality of Godhead, he takes that low position. Why? Because he has love and affection for his devotee. He wants to serve his devotee. And devotee, being attracted by these amazing qualities, transcendental qualities, they also want to serve him out of love, not just out of duty. A sadhaka does things out of duty because their guru told them, or they want to be seen like a nice devotee in the community, so people don't say, man, you are not chanting your rounds, you are not coming to the temple, you are not doing service, what's up with you? You know. But a pure devotee, they do these things out of love because they cannot think of doing anything else. So that's what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur is teaching us. That's what Srila Prabhupada is teaching us. So on this day, we can meditate on these things and we can learn and take inspiration. Thank you very much. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj ki jai. Disappearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.